So tatlo po yung points ni Ma'am Rosibel, Ma'am Lourie. They're not ready with it, particularly school work and the technology itself.
Yes, ma'am. So all of us find ourselves really surprised. We are surprised by this whole situation. And as Ma'am was saying, we are not ready. I think even internationally, we were not ready. We were all not ready for this one. Anyone else po?
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Brenda Carino po.
Go ahead,
Yes,
Ma'am
ma'am.
Brenda.
Yes, ma'am. One thing that I find very different is that our work from home arrangement. Kasi po, well, ang work from home arrangement is totally different. Kasi talagang sa school, when we used to go to school, sa normal days natin, it's a routine. The routine is really given. Now na naka-work from home arrangement tayo, may routine naman na nga tayo, but at that level talagang marami ring nabago sa mga processes and procedures that we used to do while we were in school. So siguro it's the work from home arrangement that is also very different now.
Thank you, ma'am. So the situation is asking us or pushes us to try a very different arrangement from what we are used to. And just the phrase work from home now actually challenges us to balance two major aspects of our lives, the work and the home. Unlike when we were all in school, it was very focused, you can focus on all the processes. It's just a major focus for X number of hours. But now, whether we like it or not, we have to work and then we have to go to the grocery because there is a cut-off in terms of the curfew. So that kind of arrangement is really, in a way, challenging kasi nga po hindi yun yung routine natin. Ano po? That's one point being raised.
Yes, ma'am.
Any others?
May I share?
Yes, ma'am, also.
What's new is for me peace and quiet. Because working from home, you can focus actually with the work without visitors coming in and out. But the peace and quiet goes with it boredom also because I don't get to see the students, I don't get to see the teachers face to face, and coordination is very difficult. You cannot get the meeting of the minds immediately because you have to consult them online, you have to text them. Decision making is a little bit more difficult with this kind of arrangement.
Thank you, ma'am. So you mentioned another dimension of our experience, which is yung disposition po ba? Parang on one hand, there is that space that sometimes we look for when we are in the school setting, the quiet or that moment where you have to think things through, not interrupted. But at the same time, and then you also mentioned boredom. So the peace and quiet and the boredom has to do with our inner disposition. And as you were saying, it has its pluses when it comes to the focus that we are looking for. But you also mentioned that similar to what Ma'am Carino mentioned earlier, in terms of processes and procedures, decision making and meeting of minds is also a challenge. Ano po in this case? Thank you. Meron pa po?
May I continue? May I share another thing, ma'am, Lourie?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. As regards to our community, in our church community, or what's totally different now is we haven't been going to our church as it was ordered that we can't go to have celebrate our masses in church. So I think that has been really something that has been very something like abnormal to us now because we haven't been going to church. We haven't been listening face to face to our pastors, to our priests giving us homilies, uh, doing fellowships with our church mates or so. So parang it's talagang nakakaano. Sometimes it's depressing, sabi natin, dahil bakit pati pagpunta sa church ay parang hindi na rin pwede since those days. Thank you.
Yes, that is a major change for, especially for a country like ours, where whatever your faith tradition, whatever your denomination, we are very strong in terms of our rituals. We are very strong in terms of how we express our faith, and I guess it is. If we look at maybe the situation also of our pastors and priests and imams, it must also be very strange for them to do the mass, no? And then you don't have the people with you. I mean, physically, and then we are all doing it virtually because I mean, di ba? Meron naman meron namang online, meron namang I think even radios now are but it's still very different because as far as our experience goes, rituals are very personal. They're very the contact is there. We even hold hands, di po ba, in some cases. We shake hands, we kiss, or mga ganon. So it's, as Mom was saying, especially because this is the spiritual dimension. Ito yung pinaghuhugutan natin ng ating inner strength. It this change again of how things are to be expressed in that dimension of our lives may really leave one with a kind of an inner vacuum. Mom used the term depressing, parang may kulang talaga eh. And of course, one crucial thing we will have to recognize is, as I was saying earlier, di po ba, this is where we draw our strength, especially in times like this. So that is one major change that is really different. I think kahit noong gera naman, may times where you can come together kahit nakatago. Pero dito, hindi naman tayo nakatago. Pero we are apart. We are apart. So it's really very different. Any other insights po?
Ma'am Lourie? Ma'am Lourie?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree to the sharing of Ma'am Rosana. When she said na yung nahihirapan ba tayo in the meeting of the minds and in the making of decisions. Another problem to this is the internet connections of the other teachers. There are only few who can connect with us during online meeting.
Yes.
For the 41 staff of the school, there were only 10 who can connect with me during the meeting.
Yes.
We are here now and we are learning how to use the technology.
Yes. So, ma'am, in a way, based on what you're sharing, another major thing that is different with this situation is it pushes us also to really learn fast and use a technology which probably our generations are not that familiar with. I mean, we are forced to use a way of communicating, interacting, which is to a certain extent relatively new even to DepEd. Ano po? I mean, if we look at one-fourth of a school population, of course, siguro extrapolate natin, it's not a far estimate. Ano po? I mean, if you think of it nationally, totoong we are not yet fully in this. While we talk a lot about it, but in actual practice, I think one thing that is happening now, we are able to test how far or ano ba talaga ang reach ng technology within our processes in DepEd. Ano po? So, it would be good for us as school heads to take note of these things. For example, like how many really were able to access, because later on it might be data for us as we move forward, in improving this system. So again, the use of this way of interacting is very new for us. I guess it has not happened to this extent, no, ever since. Siguro mas personal pa yung gamit po natin ito, but not like this and to this degree.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
So again, this is something that is new for all of us. Meron pa po ba?
Good morning. I'm Lourie.
Yes, good morning. Yes, ma'am.
Morning. Yes, ma'am, may I share? One
Yes, ma'am.
challenges that we face this time also is the updating of KSS advisory in the COVID updates. So this actually is done also in group chats for the students. And it happened that in the group chat, it is facilitated by the advisory. However, it will just reach out the students who are members in the GC in the group chat. Usually they use the application messenger. And all of them, when I was accounting, all of the classes or the students in the class are actually members, which is also good to disseminate information in terms of this COVID update. Another one challenge is how we communicate with parents. Because if with the one that we are facing right now, one of the challenges we are facing right now, parents are not so update when it comes to the use of messengers. We actually communicate to the students, and the students are the one communicating to the parents, especially in the use of DepEd Common. We also recommended that in the group chat. However, we receive text from the parents that we don't have data or we don't have load because the students are already asking. So we again address that kind of problem. That it's a no big deal that if we don't have such, then it's not necessary that we're going to use the DepEd Common. However, some parents are also positive by the use of DepEd Common. And of course, another one is a very good thing that we did is the monitoring of health status of the students through the group chat.
Thank you, ma'am. So we are seeing here, similar to what was mentioned a little earlier about how we are learning to become versatile with this technology. Parang what are the many ways by which we can use it? And then ma'am, in a way, shared about, we can see clearly, of course, though this has been observed before, that of course, generationally, there are differences in terms of being adept in using the technology. At the same time, we are recognizing that there are support needs in the use of the technology that may not be available, especially at this time. Di ba? Halimbawa, yung nabanggit ni ma'am na load, parang hindi naman sa panahon ngayon, hindi ganun ka-accessible ang load. And it's possible that some families are not familiar with yung loading system na you ask for others for load, ganyan. Of course, the financial dimension is another matter. So we see also that while we are being pushed to use this technology and we are learning how to become adept in using this in various ways, we recognize that it also has support limitations. The support system to use the technology, may economic dimension din siya. And again, parang it is a new way, or it is a different situation since this is now how we are doing things, at least as we cope with this situation. So itong mga issues po na ito na dati hindi siya masyadong issue, ngayon kaharap natin face to face. Unlike before, hindi naman natin kaharap ito face to face as issues. So meron pa po ba before we expand a bit on this on how we are encountering what is different with this situation? So just to run down, una, we mentioned several things. Una, sabi po natin, we are not ready. It's very different compared to other challenges. Before, we have a certain degree of, there are certain things we're still able to do, but this time we really feel we are not ready. The arrangements, the work from home arrangement is so different from what we are used to. We also see how this situation is making us more aware of our personal disposition, and our personal disposition is, of course, affected, positive and negative. We see also how this is affecting, or it's very different in terms of our spiritual practice and our spiritual experience. The way we are engaging technology is also being challenged. At the same time, we are encountering the wider arena of technology use and the issues it is bringing forth. Baka may iba pa po before we continue. Or can we work with that for now? Is that okay with everyone for now?
Yes.
Sige.
I
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
sa ano lang ma'am, I just want to share a little bit more positive naman kasi kanina medyo nega. With this ECQ and work from home, I see my role as a school head in a brighter light, on a brighter side. Before, I used to think that it's just routine, but when the ECQ came in, and I realized the stakeholders of the school come, expect me for direction, expect from me some direction and leadership. I appreciate more my role as a school head, and among all time, I think this is the time na of all times, this is the time na nakikita ko I give more appreciation sa role ko. Secondly, I have realized that patience is really something. This is a virtue kahit gas-gas na siya. Kasi with this technology, and not all are adept to it, you really have to be patient to get the response from your colleagues, from your co-teachers. And of course, discovering things that I'm not used to before, and things that I have left behind because of my task as a school head. For example, I left off my painting. Now I can continue. I left the plants. Now they are attended to now. So those are the positive side of having this ECQ. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, building on an earlier sharing, ma'am, ano po, yung the peace and quiet, at the same time the boredom, we see that there are, as ma'am was sharing, the work from home arrangement is allowing us to give attention to other dimensions of our lives that under the usual circumstances where we are in school, we are not able to give it attention. It's interesting, and I hope we will have time to deepen this po, yung nabanggit po ninyo about the role of being a school head. The stakeholders are searching for direction, the patience it is requiring from us. Hopefully later we can deepen this, because when we look now at this thing called the new normal, it may be demanding, or it may be asking from us certain things. Yes. So later, as we discuss further, we will ask others also to share what did this situation ask of you now? In what ways did we have to what did we have to strengthen perhaps, or to heighten in how we do things, or what innovations perhaps were we motivated to look into? So we will take time to deepen that later. As we were saying, these responses are because of these different things we are encountering, and because of this very different situation, and these major differences that all of you have mentioned, the phrase new normal is starting to surface again. So the phrase new normal has been used in in several ways. But before I would share on that, and perhaps others can also share, kayo po, ano po ang naisip niyo when you heard the phrase new normal, or what came to mind when we heard, or when we heard itong new normal, ano pong naisip natin? Would it be okay if I called randomly from the list so that uh, we can also hear the others? Is Sir Estigoy here, Joseph Estigoy? I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, sir. Wait, is my mic? Ah, yeah, okay. How about, so wala pa. How about Ma'am Castro Canuto? Nandito po ba? Of course, I'm just doing this. Ay, sorry. Naririnig po niyo ako kanina?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oops. Si Sir Estigoy po, is Sir Estigoy here with us?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Sir, yes, good morning.
Yeah. I just had just opened my link as of this moment. I'm sorry I was not able to hear the introduction a while ago. Medyo mahina ngayon ako nakalink, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
So,
Pasensya na.
I'll just get to go over as we I'll just give my response or reaction as we go over with the sharing.
Okay. Sir, okay lang naman po, because in a way I was just asking about what were your thoughts when we heard the phrase new normal, because that is the title of the knowledge sharing. Yung phrase na new normal, how does it come across to you, or what thoughts come to mind? Parang on your own lang po, just listening to the new normal. Ano po ang dating niya ba?
The word new normal. Is there a not normal?
Ayan. So,
I think if you say if it's all normal, it is a quite
it's a new normal.
A new normal. That's a new word added to the normal word. So siguro new normal meaning to me it's all things that are new, are brand new, are unexpected, and perhaps it's not being done before. It is a new trend or issue or policy or maybe a new just like what we are experiencing now. This is a new trend in our country or in the entire world. So this is the first time, perhaps it's the first time being done. That's yeah.
Okay. So thank you, sir. So you were saying that it's something new, something that has not been done before. And then I also picked up you mentioned that it has not been done before, but it may become a trend.
Yeah, ma'am.
Something like that,
Okay.
no?
Precisely, yeah.
Thank you for those who have also been typing. You mentioned about the technologies, the use of the technology is new for we're all still getting used to it. So in that sense, it is new. But yun nga, it is something that we have to get used to. So in that sense, parang kailangang maging normal siya. I hope I got it correctly. I'm sorry, there were others I think who were also typing. I missed I missed some other point, but I saw the one on technology. Maybe also hear from, again, random na lang po ito. Maybe hear from Ma'am Chodora Botis. I hope I got that right.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Morning. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's normal because we are still working even we are at home. And then new, because of the situation we are facing, the often use of technology, and we cannot get away from our laptops because we have to get some updates from our um, PSDS and other and our co-teachers. That's new. Often facing the laptops.
So we are in a situation. The situation now is things have to continue like work. That's the normal side. That's the normal dimension. But because we have to do it differently, we have to do it in a way that is that's not part of our routine. Yun ma'am yung nakikita nyo na new.
Yes.
Okay, so that's one way of reflecting on the phrase. How about from si Ma'am Jesusa Yadaw? Is Ma'am Yadaw with us? Ayun, Ma'am Nagna. Yun, she was saying that the new normal is doing things in a different way. Tama po? Sige po, one more. Let's try, I hope tama po ito, Sir Jackson Kayaos. Is Sir Jackson with us?
Yes, ma'am, present.
Yes, sir. What are our thoughts when we hear the phrase new normal?
Yeah, I agree with Sir Istigoy. New normal, I believe, these are things that we have not been doing in the past, but we need to do right now. Otherwise, we'll be left. In the context of school, since we can no longer physically work with our school forms or particularly with the teachers, we need to embrace on this technology. So working with technology now is, I believe, a normal thing to do now.
So that is
Especially in connecting with
normal.
teachers and our stakeholders. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. So, okay, to kind of put together our thoughts and our ideas in this initial shape, dalawa po, ano po yung what we did, what is it that we find different, and our ideas of the new normal. Just to summarize and synthesize, Harris, let's try. I hope this will work.
While Harris is putting that up, Ma'am Lourie, there is one thing I got from the chat group. Sabi niya dun sa question number 1, on something new, na hindi nabanggit earlier is that creativity and innovation are enhanced. So galing yun kay Mama Suzy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Dito naman sa second question about the new normal, galing naman kay Ma'am Ellen Grande. Sabi niya, it's the use of technology in a normal way. And then, ito naman ang isa, it's the normal for me doing the same things but in a new way. So more or less similar. And then another one, it's the change, the new normal is the change in our educational system. It is adapting to the trend of blended learning technology without the COVID or without the COVID. And the new normal is getting used to the abnormal situation. And the new normal is likely staying home and staying safe. That's the new normal. Even physical distancing is the new normal. So yun yung mga nakuha natin, nakalap natin dito sa ating messenger. Okay?
Thank you so much, Ma'am Sor. I'm just wondering, nakikita niyo po ba yung PowerPoint? Does it show?
Wala pa for now. So Harris, pull it up.
Let me check. I'm supposed to. Wait, I think I have to be the one to. Okay. Sorry. I just have to do it. Yes. Okay. Yan na nga, di ba? We're getting to. We're learning how to use this. Okay. Let me check if I get this right. Has it come out? Not yet. Wait, has it come out or not yet?
No.
Wala naman. It's here. Wait, sorry. There, is it Okay na po? Okay, thank you. So just as a quick summary, the phrase "new normal" has been used in different contexts through over the past decades. Um, we the phrase "new normal" has been associated, or as everyone has mentioned, if we try to look at what you have mentioned, it has to do with change. Changes that have been happening, but the nature of the change usually is sudden. It can also be very drastic. And in some cases, like what we're experiencing now, the effects, the impact is far reaching. These are just some of the characteristics of situations that are associated with the phrase new normal. In previous literature, it has been used in the context of wars. What happens after the war? So after the war, some have written about post-war scenarios. They would use the phrase new normal. We also have literature that uses the phrase new normal in the context of economic depressions. That the depression itself is a new normal from a previous situation of economic stability, and then the situation after the depression also can be or has been cited as a new normal. Nagagamit din po siya sa field of psychology. For example, when we have sudden loss or sudden major changes in our family or individual lives that really demands heavily on us psycho-emotionally. Literature also, or write-ups, would sometimes use the phrase new normal pertaining to the new situation or the emerging situation after, let's say, after the loss, or as one heals from grief. Some writers would use the new normal, the phrase new normal. Nagamit din po ito if we remember what happened in the US with the bombing of the Twin Towers in the US. And while the actual bombing is something distant from us physically, the impact of this, when we now talk of terrorism, when we talk of, right now we have the ISIS, di ba? So yung consequences at yung effect ng pag-uusap na ito about the Twin Towers, we feel it more today in terms of this whole issue of terrorism, the rise of a lot of grievances in that form. We are also encountering the use of the phrase new normal when we talk about climate change, or these emerging reflections now on climate change. Every now and then we will encounter the phrase the new normal. So may nagbanggit po kanina na parang, di ba, yung seasons hindi na pareho as when we were children. Before, seasons had a regularity. Ngayon, hindi na. So we are saying parang ito na yata ang new normal. So these are some of the contexts where we encounter the phrase new normal. And really, it is challenging all of us to understand the situation. Parang how do we deal with this new normal? There are just so many questions being presented to us, and it's challenging us now. So when we feel this sense of the sense of not being sure of so many things, maybe even that we can say is the new normal, ano po, in that sense. I mean, ang daming mga bagay na hindi natin masagot ba. And then there are so many things we're encountering all at the same time. So let's try to link our present experience with our previous experiences of change, of dealing with change. If you were to reflect on your lifetimes in terms of experiencing change, how would you describe the changes that you have been encountering in your past years of life, whether it's 30 years, some of us are probably in our 50s, some of you might be in your early 60s perhaps. If we try to characterize or describe the changes in the previous decades, how would they look like? Do you find them similar to what we're encountering now, or what are similar, what is different kung ikukumpara po natin yung ibang mga pagbabago na na-encounter natin?
Magandang papakinggan din, Ma'am Lourie, yung mga mas nauna sa atin, yung mga elders. Baka we would like to listen also to the sharing ng mga nakakatanda sa atin. Kasi sabi mo 30 years, di ba?
Right,
Baka
right.
baka si Ma'am Esther can start it. Ma'am Esther Dipilit.
Because
Ganda siya, Joey.
you may have seen a wider panorama of changes in your lifetime po. For those who are our wisdom keepers, maybe please hear from you, Apo.
Haris, naka-on ba sila? Hindi. Okay. Sino pa yung sino pa dyan na gusto mag-share? Sige, kahit hindi yung kahit hindi older, basta siguro we can hear from din dito, Ma'am Kinyo. Hindi ka naman older, no? Andito ba siya? Pakday Kinyo. Wala. Si Ma'am Marilyn, andyan? Nakita ko kanina si Ma'am Linila Katunggal. Naka-on? O tayo lang yata yung nandito. Yan. Yeah, go ahead po. Go ahead. Sino yun, Harry? Okay, go ahead.
Ay, pwede na ako?
Ma'am Ligaya?
Oh.
Ma'am
Okay.
Kinyo. Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am
Hello,
Kinyo.
good morning.
Good morning. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I would like to share my experience when I was young because you are asking about experiences before and experiences now. So before, it goes back the feeling of staying in the community, enjoying your home, your resources. Pero sa ngayon kasi with the spread of the virus, you cannot go to the community. So you are just there at home. So at home, you try to go back to all your basic needs, your everything, cleaning everything, talking, sitting together, and doing life before. So that is the experience that I experienced before when I was young. When you sit together in front of the fire, what's that? The fireplace, talking, eating, telling stories, correcting, or sharing observations, sharing observations, and then so those are the things that came back with the things that we are experiencing right now. So another one that for now compared to work is that if you're doing your work in school, the proper designation, the projects of the DepEd that you are implementing, parang it's all coming out together. Like for instance, the security guards are the ones left at home. So they are doing their best there to do their work and then with our gulayan sa paaralan, these are the one that sustain their lives as they are staying there, and then those teachers who are in the community who are near are the ones checking them with my instructions, And then uh, when you, with the responsibilities of the teachers, we just give them the signals, the instructions, and they will do them all. So responsibility is very important. It is instilled to them that this is your responsibility through your attended duties, aside from your work being teachers, with your pupils, and also in the community. We have the communication with the community so that even if I'm not going to the school, the barangay officials and the personnel in the barangay officials include the security of our school, and that's what we report with the division office to ensure that the teachers also are responsible for their health. So I'm happy that every time that I talk to the teachers, they are all okay, they're healthy, and they follow the government instructions. They don't complain because they understand they are employees of the government. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, in a way, you were describing your community experience, and then how, in a way, that community experience is being mirrored in our present ECQ situation, and at the same time, you're already sharing how certain processes and how certain ways of dealing with the situation are being done, particularly in the school where you're in. Tama po ba, ma'am? That's more or
Yes,
less an
yes, yes, ma'am.
sharing. Um, so in a way, we are seeing how this situation is pushing us, as one of you mentioned, it's moving us to do other things, to no, to do things differently, to set up certain processes perhaps or mechanisms because of the kind of situation we are in. So
Yeah.
we have to find ways to also communicate this effectively. At least it seems that came out, ma'am, also in your sharing.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
uh, do you recall if in your previous experiences were there similar circumstances where you had to adapt so fast the way you had to adapt now? Or is this one of the few cases po in your life where parang the demand to change so fast and so sudden was very much highlighted? May similar experiences po ba in your previous years na ganito
Yes, yes,
ka-demanding yung
yes, ma'am.
change?
One example of the situation that we have to adapt is to respect the government, to respect the enforcers, because they are telling us to to stay home and to wear our mask and to clean ourselves. So those are the things that we have been doing before in our community, wherein they declare to now, and then we stay
Yes,
steady in
okay.
between the people in the community while we are doing our work at home.
Okay. So you're now referring, ma'am, to a community experience, the Tengao,
Yes,
where
ma'am.
actually it's similar po, ano? It's good that you raised
Yes,
that. So
ma'am.
that means there may have been circumstances in our own communities before where the community had to declare a Tengao. And it
Yes, ma'am.
requires practically similar procedures, ma'am, di ba?
Yes,
It
ma'am.
looks different, but precisely the no in and out, di ba?
Yes,
Tapos
ma'am.
stay home,
Yes, ma'am.
suspend muna ang lahat ng farming, if I remember correctly. I mean, anything that we're doing, suspend muna. Tama po, di ba?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
everybody is in the community. Uh, there are certain things we do together as a community while
Yes,
in that
ma'am.
situation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So in a way, ma'am, for you at least, you have a reference point in terms of your previous experience. Tama po ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, so to a certain degree, the shift in change is at least not that unfamiliar. To a certain
Not
degree,
unfamiliar. I reflected about it, and
yes.
it's a part of culture and activities long time ago, which is coming back this time.
Yan, okay, but only in a different context po, ano?
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
no, it's just national. Before it used to be our community, our local community.
Yes,
Tapos
ma'am.
national, global
That
pa.
is the
So in other words, maybe one take home for us is yung practices pala natin sa ating communities. Meron pala siyang pinanggalingan din po. Ano po?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oo. So they must have experienced something like this only at the local scale. And the thing we call quarantine ECQ now is actually, at least for us who went through that experience, kayo po, direct experience, it's not totally new, this thing
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is happening now. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We have maybe one or two more who can also share about yung experiences po nila about the changes demanded in the previous decades. Do we remember any other experience in the previous decades that is as demanding as this one in terms of shift, in terms of being so drastic? Meron po ba? Yung
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we were saying earlier, every new normal really presents a myriad of questions, and it can really be so confusing because of so many things are happening. And because of the far-reaching impacts of the situations we're encountering whenever there is a new normal, it calls on us to really appreciate what is new, what is the situation or situations, what new changes are being asked of us, what new results do we have to work on, and then in time, the quote unquote the new normal gets to be established as the normal. Again, these are because the new normal that is being established is not something that is already there. It's not as if the idea is clear already kung ano siya. Rather, as we deal with the new situation or situations before us, we have to engage and deal with the challenges, and this brings about new changes. It may also bring about new results, kaya po nabubuo yung tinatawag na new normal. So again, it's not a given. It's not as if the idea is very clear already what that new normal is. So very crucial po dito na kaya po nating pakiramdaman ang sitwasyon. We're able to see what is happening, what is moving. So I was mentioning earlier that in the military and in the business sectors, they have been trying to analyze key features whenever a new normal is evolving. Ang isang feature po of a new normal when it is evolving is the events are very volatile. Parang ang bilis ng mga pagbabago. The pace and the rate of change is unstable compared to what we are used to. So the volatility is there. Another feature when dealing with an emerging new normal is it's not as if there is one answer, or it's not as if there is a clear-cut way of doing things. The certainty that we are used to is being challenged. No? Things are uncertain. Parang kung dati sanay tayo na ito yung processes and procedures, ngayon hindi. Minsan nga on the spot, we have to come up with another way of doing things. The complexity, we are confronted with the complexity. This COVID thing is not just medical, it's economic. There's the economic dimension, the political, the social, the psychological, all happening at the same time. And it can really be very challenging kasi hindi naman po tayo sanay na tinitignan ang lahat, yung maraming bagay simultaneously. So tayo sa education, we are used to looking at the education dimension while others hopefully contribute the economic, etc. But now, we are challenged. For example, this afternoon, there will be a meeting here. We may be talking about how to cope from the curriculum dimension, but we will have to examine the economic impacts before we can even talk of curriculum. Mga ganon po ba? So things are more complex than usual. Another feature is the ambiguity of things. Parang there is no... kung sa moral dimension, the right and the wrong are not that clear-cut in some circumstances. In some cases, parang what the certain, no, it's partly certainty, but it's more of the clarity of things. The clarity of things is not like before, no? And therefore it adds to the confusion. So when we put this all together, we may have heard of this already. Sabi nila, ang new normal as it evolves, as it comes into being, we experience yung tinatawag na VUCA. And it seems itong past 2 decades or so has been witnessing the sense of this VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity of the circumstances. So ngayon with COVID, we feel this all the more. And as school heads with responsibilities, at the same time as parents, we are dealing with this VUCA. And it is asking of us, as you were saying, it is asking of us innovations, creativity, realizations, checking our priorities. So these are already some of the ways by which we as people deal with this thing called VUCA. For the purposes of our sharing, we hope to deepen more on we hope to deepen more on this in the area of education. And if I'm not mistaken, this will be the focus in our next discussion. But for now, at least, let us appreciate that these really are abnormal times. But the patterns of, or at least if we are able to name, what we're experiencing, it is a first step so that we are able to also have a hold of what is happening, not only to us individually, but also for our teachers, for our stakeholders. In other words, it is more, in these times, talagang may mga pagbabago na biglaan. We cannot expect that it will be like before na steady lang ang mga bagay. These are times of uncertainty. One of you mentioned that this is a time when people are looking forward to a sense of leadership kasi nga things are uncertain. But so things are uncertain, so what is it that we can provide? Maybe it is not answers, but presence. No? Maybe not immediate answers, but at least presence. Na okay, we are here, we are working on things, something like that. The answers are not clear, pero at least it helps to see what is it that we are doing to reach a certain decisions that need to be done. We recognize the complexity, and this will demand of us working with others who know information on other areas we are not familiar with. We will have to really be open that what was clear-cut before, the clarity that we are used to, is also the degree of clarity that we want is also not there now. So these are the things we will have to work with. These are the realities we will have to work with. Perhaps continuing on with the realizations, because this is it seems that it's one area that we have been sharing on already, even in the chat by on the side, ano po, others have also been sharing notes. What other realizations are we getting given the situation? So nakita natin, no, we're learning to prioritize, particularly life. We are learning to be more, our degree of empathy is deepening. Are there any other realizations po for the others in the group? Would Ma'am Maril be with us still? By any chance?
Ma'am Jovi, meron pa bang dyan, nakalap ka dyan sa sa message or wherever na hindi pa nabanggit? Ma'am Jovi?
Ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So, just to share what was seen in the chat box, start with the thought of Ma'am MJ.
It's already here.
When she said that We can relate to lifestyle of the ECQ. We feel the ambience of Baguio 30 years ago. From Ma'am Bisquera, sabi niya, simple living is strengthened. We are back to the basics of life. For Ma'am Adolfo, she said that paperworks are now online and it's possible to do work online. Then for Adiwang Elementary School, what's happening now is biblical. It's also happening in the Bible. What's written in the Bible is now being happened now. It's now happening. For Ma'am, sino na ito? Si Azul, sabi niya, the situation way back during the 1990s is similar to what's happening today.
Yeah, very good. No, the earthquake. Thank you
Yes.
for helping us remember that moment
Yes.
also.
And
No, how
then
did we live through that?
yes. And then si Ma'am Kael, sabi niya, we can see the discipline, cooperation, and patience being manifested by people. And then for Ma'am Charisma, sabi niya, change has come and we must look on the positive side of the cases. For Ma'am Dizon, she said, we are welcoming the VUCA world, the brutality, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. These were so far what I took down in the chat box.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And so, if we notice, as we go through the situation, the good thing is we continue learning from it, and then we are able to link it to our previous experiences, because this is one way for us to move forward, ano, uh, to put into concrete. Para anong gagawin natin? So this is what we remember, like the earthquake before. How did we live through that, di ba? We can learn from that and see how we can adapt the way we were able to live through the 1990 earthquake can be a source of both an inspiration and at the same time concrete, parang concrete examples of what is needed in this new situation we are encountering. We all once mentioned, we realize what is possible, no, things that we may not have explored fully before. We are now saying hindi posible pala, and perhaps these are the things these are the kind of appreciation ba na okay, things are not sure yet. There are many things hindi pa natin alam kung paano natin gagawin, pero at least we know that things are possible. If we're able to hold on to that, it gives us an extra energy. It gives us a certain something to stand on. So we may not have clear answers. Answers are not necessarily always there. The clarity is not also always there. We expect that there will still be major changes, pero at least if we are clear that we can go through this, we have seen ourselves go through similar situations before, it allows us again to have something to stand on. Kasi ang mahirap sa VUCA, pag hindi po tayo malinaw, ano po yung pinagtutungtungan natin, what are we standing on, or what holds us, what anchors us. So crucial po sa ating lahat that we are able to have a sense of where we are anchored on, whether that is our personal values, whether that is institutional commitments, family strength. We have to be clear about, at least we have to sense again what is it that we are anchored on or we are standing on. Now let's push this a little, and maybe this is a way to introduce or to start the reflection for our next session, the part 2 of this series. And this has to do with trying to put ourselves in the shoes of our learners. Kasi kung tayo po mismo, ito yung na-experience natin, we were saying that, in the 21st, in the kind of education, in K to 12, sinasabi natin, we want to prepare our learners for things for a future that is not yet there, for circumstances that perhaps what they learned is not even enough. Di ba may ganun po tayong sinasabi na in 21st century education, it's about preparing our learners for circumstances that they may not have even encountered in school. Di ba? So baka in a way, if we try to situate ourselves, this is perhaps already the circumstances we are in. Ito na yung sinasabi natin na hinahanda sana natin ang ating learners so that when they are in such a situation, they are able to live through such circumstances like today in a way that does not rob them of their being humane, that allows them um, to still have a sense of who they are. They're able to take on the things that need to be taken on. Like sabi ninyo, kailangan pa rin magtuloy ang mga bagay-bagay. Like certain tasks still have to be done. Certain responsibilities need to be done. Pero they're able to do it differently. And yet, that differently, we are not sure about yet, di ba? So, maybe that is one area of reflection that we can carry forward in preparation for our next sharing, because yun nga po, when we talk now of 21st century learning, I mean, this is it eh. We are actually in the 21st century already, and perhaps this experience is kind of a living practicum. And as we are experiencing it as educators, maybe we can ask ourselves, okay, if kung ganito pala ang experience ng 21st century, what do we need, what needs to be there in our education so that our learners 10, 15, 20 years from now, o baka nga 5 years from now, pag nabulaga ulit tayo ng isang sitwasyon na nakakapanibago in so many ways, they are not left they're not left in the dark, or they're not caught so flat-footed. Parang kung kaya nating ma-reduce yung degree of VUCA na nararamdaman natin ngayon para sa kanila, no? I mean, for them, what therefore should be in our education. So perhaps we can close our sharing in that way. Of course, there may be questions that may be raised yet, but at least the sharing on engaging the new normal. So again, we recognize that we are, in the past few decades, we have been encountering major changes more frequently, actually. And perhaps for us, for our generations, this is the most demanding so far that we have encountered. I remember also Baguio had the meningococcemia, right? Na nagkaroon din ng close. I mean, Baguio had to shut down for something like 2 weeks.
Yes.
Diba? So this siguro yun yung isa. So the earthquake is one, and then the meningococcemia, and then now this one very global. In this context, we are talking of the new normal as it's evolving, it's emerging very fast, very unpredictable. And then some of its features, we talked about VUCA, and we are now going to relate it hopefully next in our next sharing on what does it mean therefore for education. How do we prepare our learners to engage when circumstances like this become more frequent? So with that, thank you. But of course, if there are questions from the group, I'm still here po.